The rain hammered the cafe window like 1,000 unanswered questions, and in that instant Elias Hawthorne, me, or whatever was left of me, realized the plot had veered off the rails. Ryder Kane's laugh cut through the steam of his black coffee, low and magnetic, pulling at something deep in my chest that no side character was supposed to feel. But as our eyes locked across the scarred oak table, the world tilted, and I knew. This wasn't just a book anymore. It was my unraveling. Seattle in late autumn was a city built for secrets, its gray skies and endless drizzle wrapping around you like a lover's reluctant embrace. I'd read the novel a dozen times back in my old life, Echoes of the Emerald City, a gritty romance disguised as a thriller, where Ryder Kane, the brooding architect with a past like shattered glass, chased redemption through blueprints and broken hearts. He was the male lead, all sharp jawlines and shadowed eyes, destined for the heroine, a fiery journalist named Lena Voss. And me? I was supposed to be Elias Hawthorne, the handsome side character, the charming barista with a trust fund and a smile that disarmed defenses, the guy who flirted harmlessly, pushed the plot along, and faded into the background by chapter 20. But Transmigration didn't come with a manual. One minute, I was Alex Rivera, a 28-year-old graphic designer in a stuffy Chicago cubicle, binge-reading fanfics at 2 a.m., cursing the slow-burn tension between Ryder and his inevitable love interest. The next, a freak lightning storm, ironic, given the weather here, zapped me into Elias's body mid-scene, right as he was supposed to accidentally spill coffee on Lena to spark their meet-cute. Except I froze. My hands, his hands, calloused from latte art, trembled, and the cup stayed put. Lena breezed past without a glance, her red coat vanishing into the mist outside the daily grind. Now, 3 weeks in, I was unraveling the threads of this borrowed life, piecing together Elias's memories like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. He was 25, born and raised in a sleepy suburb of Tacoma, with parents who ran a bookstore called Whispering Pines Books. Ironic, since his own story was all sharp edges and hidden depths. Fair-skinned with that effortless Pacific Northwest glow, freckles dusting his nose like stars in a hazy sky, Elias had the kind of looks that turned heads. Tousled chestnut hair that begged to be ruffled, gray eyes that held storms, and a lean runner's build honed from weekend hikes up in the Olympics. But beneath it, he carried the weight of unspoken truths, a closeted ache for men that the original novel glossed over, reducing him to comic relief for the straight-laced romance. I adjusted the apron strings at my waist, the scent of roasted beans and cinnamon grounding me as I wiped down the counter. The cafe hummed with the usual midday crowd. Tech bros tapping away on laptops, artists sketching in the corners, a couple arguing in hushed tones over whether to move to Portland. Seattle's pulse was addictive, raw, unfiltered, a far cry from my old life's fluorescent drudgery. But every glance in the mirror reminded me this wasn't home. Elias's reflection stared back, handsome in a way that felt like theft, his full lips curving into a smile I hadn't earned. "Order up, Elias." Marco, the grizzled barista manager with a beard like steel wool, slid a tray my way. "That guy's been nursing that espresso for an hour. Think he's waiting for you to work your magic?" I followed his nod to the corner booth, where Ryder Kane sat like he owned the shadows. God, the novel hadn't done him justice. In print, he was all brooding intensity. A 27-year-old prodigy, rebuilding his family's tarnished firm after a scandal that left his father bankrupt and his mother in a psych ward. But here, in the flesh, he was electric. Olive skin glowing under the cafe's warm lights, black hair cropped close but curling at the nape, hazel eyes that shifted like tide pools. Green-flecked gold one moment, stormy the next. His button-down shirt clung just enough to hint at the sculpted chest beneath. Sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded from late-night sketches and gym sessions. Ryder was the kind of man who made the air thicken, who could dismantle you with a glance. In the book, Elias was supposed to be Ryder's reluctant confidant, the friend who dragged him to bars and bad decisions, all while pining subtly for Lena. But from the moment I'd woken up in this body, something had shifted. The memories flooded in fragments. Elias's first crush on a high school track coach, the furtive hookups in college that ended in ghosting, the quiet nights scrolling Grindr in his tiny Capitol Hill apartment. He was gay or bi, the lines blurred in his hazy recollections. but the novel had sanitized it, turning his flirtations into harmless banter. Me? I'd always known my own truths, even if I'd buried them under straight-passing dates and family expectations back in Chicago. Now, trapped here, those walls crumbled. Ryder looked up, catching my stare, and his lips quirked in that half-smile that promised trouble. "You gonna stand there all day, Hawthorne? Or bring me a refill? This city's rain is depressing enough without cold coffee." His voice was gravel wrapped in silk, the faint drawl hinting at Texas roots before Seattle claimed him. I swallowed, forcing Elias's easy charm to the surface. "Coming right up, Kane. Wouldn't want you sketching dystopian skylines on a caffeine crash." As I poured the espresso, steam rising like ghosts, I replayed the plot in my head. Next week, Ryder was due to meet Lena at a gallery opening in Pioneer Square. Sparks, banter, the slow unraveling of his guarded heart. My role? Show up tipsy, make a scene, push him toward her. Simple. Except every interaction with him chipped away at the script. Yesterday, over closing shift, he'd confessed fragments of his past. The father's embezzlement that tanked Kane Architects. The mother's breakdown that left him raising his kid sister alone. "Feels like I'm building on sand," he'd said, fingers tracing the rim of his mug. I'd wanted to reach across, cover his hand, tell him he was the foundation, solid, unyielding. Instead, I'd cracked a joke about seismic retrofits. Handing him the cup, our fingers brushed, and electricity jolted through me. Not the novel's contrived tension, but something visceral, alive. His eyes held mine a beat too long, searching, and for a wild second, I wondered if he felt it too. Then the bell above the door jingled, snapping the moment. A customer waved me over, and Ryder buried himself in his sketchpad, lines emerging of a towering spire that pierced the clouds. That night, in the narrow bed of Elias's apartment, a converted loft in Fremont with exposed brick and fairy lights strung like regrets, I tossed under threadbare sheets. The city murmured outside. Distant horns, the patter of rain on tin roofs, a siren wailing like a lover's lament. I pulled up my phone, Elias's phone, filled with playlists of indie folk and half-read queer lit, and scrolled through fan theories I'd half-remembered from my old life. What if the transmigration wasn't random? What if I was here to rewrite the ending, to give Elias the story he deserved? But doubt crept in, cold as the draft from the window. Changing the plot could erase me, send me back, or worse, trap me forever in a side character's shadow. And Ryder, he was straight in the book, wasn't he? Or was that just the publisher's polish? The ambiguity gnawed, a hunger I couldn't name. Morning came too soon, gray light filtering through blinds. I dragged myself to the mirror, splashing water on Elias's face. My face now. The eyes staring back were weary, lines of exhaustion etching the corners. 25 felt ancient in this borrowed skin, carrying the weight of 2 lives. Downstairs, the streets of Fremont buzzed with joggers in neon and dog walkers dodging puddles. I grabbed a coffee to go, the bitterness grounding me, and headed to the cafe early. Marco was already there, flipping on the espresso machine with a grunt. "You look like hell, kid," he said, eyeing me over his thermos. "Rough night." Something like that. I busied myself with inventory, stacking cups like armor. Marco was a fixture, divorced, gruff, with a soft spot for strays. In the novel, he dispensed wisdom that nudged Ryder toward growth. For me, he was a lifeline, the one constant in this scripted chaos. By noon, the rush hit, a blur of orders and small talk. Then Ryder strolled in, collar popped against the chill, carrying a rolled blueprint under his arm. "Elias, you free after shift? Need a second opinion on this monstrosity." My heart stuttered, off script already. In the book, this was Lena's line. "Yeah, sure. What's the project?" "Some high-rise in Belltown. Client wants iconic, but it screams soulless." He unrolled it on the counter, fingers splaying over elevations and cross-sections. Leaning in, I caught his scent. Cedar and clean sweat, and traced the lines with him, our shoulders brushing. "It's got bones," I said, voice steadier than I felt. "But soften the edges here. Make it breathe with the harbor, not dominate it." He tilted his head, studying me like I was the blueprint. You ever think about design? You've got an eye. Heat flushed my cheeks, Elias's cheeks pale and betraying. Nah, just a barista with too much time on Reddit. Ryder chuckled, deep and warm, packing up as the line grew. Tonight, then, 8 at the alibi room. Don't flake. I nodded, watching him go, the door swinging shut behind him like a chapter closing. The rest of the shift dragged. Every foam heart I etched into lattes mocking me. By closing, the rain had thickened to sheets, turning Fremont's trolleys into blurred ghosts. The alibi room was a dive in Ballard, all exposed beams and vinyl booths, the kind of place where secrets fermented over craft IPAs. Ryder was already there, nursing a stout, his tie loosened like an invitation. I slid in across from him, ordering a whiskey neat, Elias's poison, burning smooth down my throat. We talked architecture first, safe territory. The Space Needle's kitsch versus Gary's folds, how Seattle's hills demanded buildings that bowed to the terrain. But the whiskey loosened tongues, and Ryder's guard slipped. You know why I came back here? He asked, swirling his glass. After Austin, after everything. Thought the rain would wash it clean. But some stains, they set. The scandal. I knew the beats. Father's fraud exposed in a tabloid frenzy. Mother catatonic in a Bellevue clinic. Ryder dropping out of UT to scrape by on freelance gigs. Stains fade, I said softly, meeting his gaze. You just gotta keep scrubbing. He leaned forward, elbows on the scarred table, hazel eyes locking like tumblers in a safe. What about you, Elias? What's your stain? The question hung heavy as the humid air. Elias's memories surged. A college boyfriend who bailed when things got real. Whispers of confused from friends who didn't get it. My own ghosts overlapped. Coming out to a family that nodded politely but changed the subject. Dates that fizzled into friendship zones. Hiding, I admitted, the words slipping out unbidden. From myself, mostly. Ryder's brow furrowed. Not judgment, but something tender. Curiosity edged with ache. Hiding from what? You, I nearly said, but bit it back. Instead, the usual. Expectations. The what-ifs that keep you up at night. He nodded, slow, like he understood more than he let on. The jukebox kicked in, some Bon Iver track crooning about skin and hollering, and for a moment the bar faded. It was just us, two men orbiting a truth neither was ready to name. We stumbled out hours later, buzzed and breathless, the rain a curtain around us. Ryder clapped my shoulder, grip lingering. Thanks for tonight, man. Feels good to unload. Anytime, I murmured, heart pounding as he pulled away, vanishing into the downpour toward his truck. Back in the loft, I collapsed, the ceiling spinning with stars I couldn't see. This was dangerous, falling for the lead when I was scripted to orbit. But as sleep claimed me, Elias's dreams wove with mine. Ryder's hand in mine, not as friend, but anchor. The plot be damned. I was rewriting us, one stolen glance at a time. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of steam and sketches, rain-slick commutes and late-night confessions that skirted the edges of everything. Fremont streets became my map, each cafe corner a checkpoint in this transmigrated life. Elias's apartment, with its creaky floors and walls papered in faded band posters, started feeling less like a stage set and more like home. I'd even unpacked the boxes in the closet, old sketchbooks from his art school days, filled with charcoal studies of male torsos that the novel had conveniently ignored. They mirrored my own hidden sketches back in Chicago, doodles of impossible men that I'd shredded in fits of denial. Ryder became a constant, slipping into the daily grind like he belonged there, blueprints unfurling across tables as excuses to linger. Our talks deepened, peeling back layers the book had only hinted at. He'd sketch while I worked, his pencil scratching out visions of curved facades that echoed the city's sinuous bays. See this? He'd say, tapping a line. It's got a flow, like the sound on a calm day. Rigid things break. I got it more than he knew. My responses weren't just Elias's quips. They were Alex's insights, laced with a lifetime of quiet observation. Add light here, I'd suggest, leaning close enough to feel his warmth. Let it spill in, Make the shadows dance instead of hide. He'd pause, pencil hovering, eyes flicking to mine with that intensity that unraveled me. You're wasted on lattes, Hawthorne. Marco noticed, of course. That Kane boy's got you twisted, he grumbled one slow afternoon, wiping down the espresso grinder. Like a plot in one of those novels your folks peddle. I laughed it off, but heat crept up my neck. Twisted was right. Every brush of knuckles over a shared menu, every lingering goodbye in the parking lot, twisted the knife of what-ifs deeper. The plot loomed. Lena's gallery event was tomorrow, the inciting incident where Ryder's world cracked open. I was supposed to crash it, drunk and dramatic, to force his hand toward her. But the thought soured my stomach like bad brew. That evening, I met Ryder at Cary Park for sunset. Off script again. A whim born from a text about needing air that doesn't smell like wet dog. The overlook was iconic, Seattle sprawling below in a haze of orange and indigo. The Space Needle piercing the skyline like a needle in fog. We sat on the low wall, legs dangling, shoulders touching as the city lights winked on. Ever feel like you're living someone else's story? Ryder asked, voice low against the wind. He popped a beer from a six-pack he'd smuggled in a backpack, handing me one. The aluminum chilled my palm, condensation beating like sweat. All the time, I confessed, clinking bottles. The beer was crisp, hoppy, cutting through the chill. Below, ferries cut wakes in the sound, tiny lives adrift. Like you're cast in a role that doesn't fit, but you play it anyway because, what else? He took a pull, Adam's apple bobbing, throat exposed in a way that made my pulse stutter. Yeah, after Dad's mess, I thought architecture would fix it, build something permanent. But every project's a reminder. Foundations crack if you don't dig deep enough. His vulnerability hit like a gut punch. In the novel, this was the scene where he opened up to Lena about his fears, her empathy the hook. But here, with me, it felt raw or unpolished. You dig deep, Ryder. Deeper than most. That's why your designs breathe. He turned, hazel eyes catching the dying light, flecks of gold igniting. What about you? What's the deep end for Elias Hawthorne? Memories collided. Elias's hidden journals, scrawled with poems about boys who vanished like smoke. My own college nights, tangled in dorm beds with guys who swore it was just experimenting. Love, I said finally, the word heavy on my tongue. The kind that scares you because it could swallow you whole. Ryder's gaze didn't waver. Scary's not always bad. Sometimes it's the only thing real. The air thickened, charged like pre-storm static. His knee pressed against mine, deliberate or not, and I swear my skin burned through denim. I wanted to lean in, bridge the gap, taste the beer on his lips and the truth in his breath. But the plot whispered warnings. Change too much and poof, back to Chicago or oblivion. We talked until stars pricked the sky, shifting to safer ground. His sister's upcoming visit from Austin, my folks' bookstore events. He laughed at my impression of Dad's terrible puns. Head thrown back, throat exposed again. God, that laugh. It was a drug, low and unfiltered, chasing away the drizzle's chill. Driving back in his beat-up Tacoma pickup, radio humming indie rock, he dropped me at the loft with a fist bump that lingered into a squeeze. Tomorrow's the gallery thing. You in. My throat tightened. Wouldn't miss it. Alone, I paced the loft, rain lashing the windows like judgment. The gallery event, Lena Voss, with her cascade of auburn curls and reporter's edge, unveiling photos of urban decay, rusted shipyards, graffiti-scarred alleys, that mirrored Ryder's inner ruins. In the book, Elias showed up wasted, spilling wine on her dress in a jealous bid for attention, only to slink away humiliated. Propelled Ryder to comfort her, their first real spark. I couldn't do it. Not like that. Pouring a whiskey, Elias's crutch. I sank onto the couch, scrolling the novel's fan wiki on my phone. Theories abounded. Hidden queer subtext in Ryder's bromances. Elias as the tragic almost lover. What if I subverted it? Show up sober. Be the wingman who stepped back? Sleep evaded, dreams fracturing into chases through Seattle's underbelly. Me pursuing Ryder through fogged alleys, only to wake gasping, sheets twisted like restraints. Dawn broke slate gray, and I hauled myself to the cafe, the routine a bomb. Marco thrust a to-go cup at me. Go get Romeo. But don't cock it up. The gallery was in Pioneer Square, a converted warehouse pulsing with string lights and clinking glasses. I arrived early, nursing a seltzer, scanning the crowd. Artsy types in ironic tees, collectors with Botox smiles. Lena held court near her exhibit, stark black and whites of decay reclaiming concrete. Beauty in the broken. She was striking, all sharp cheekbones and vintage dresses, but my eyes sought Ryder. He entered like a storm front, navy blazer hugging his frame, slacks tailored to perfection. Our gazes locked across the room, and he wove through, a flute of champagne in hand. You clean up nice, he said, voice warm, eyes raking over my button-down and chinos. Elias's closet staples, fitted just right. Flattery gets you nowhere, I teased, clinking glasses. But keep it up. We wandered the walls, his commentary sharp. This one's got tension. See how the rust bleeds into shadow? Like a wound scabbing over. His arm brushed mine, casual but electric, and I wondered if he felt the pull too, or if it was my imagination scripting desire. Then Lena approached, all smiles and poise. Ryder Kane? I've heard about your firm. Love the way you reclaim spaces, much like my work. They fell into easy rhythm, her questions drawing out his passion, his responses lighting her up. I hung back, the wingman roll chafing like ill-fit shoes. Jealousy coiled, not for her poise, but for the ease, the plot's greased path. When she excused herself for a donor, Ryder turned to me, brow arched. Your take. She's fire, I said, forcing truth. Matches your spark. Go after it. He studied me, something flickering. Regret? Desire? Yeah, maybe. The night wore on, laughter echoing off brick. I sipped water, the fizz mocking my flat mood. Around midnight, as the crowd thinned, Ryder found me by the exit, coat slung over his arm. Walk with me. Outside, the square's cobblestones gleamed under lamps, rain of fine mist. We strolled toward the waterfront, collars up against the damp. Tonight was good, he said, breath fogging. Because of you. My chest tightened. Nah, that was all you and Lena. He stopped under a awning, turning to face me, inches away. The streetlight haloed him, casting shadows that deepened the hollows of his cheeks. Elias, there's something A car horn blared, shattering the bubble. He stepped back, rubbing his neck. Forget it. Rain check. Yeah. I whispered, throat dry, watching him jog to his truck, taillights fading into the night. I leaned against the wall, heart hammering. The plot had bent, but not broken. Yet. Back home, whiskey called again, but I resisted, curling into bed with Elias's sketchbook. My pencil flew, Ryder's profile, not as architect, but man. Lips parted, eyes soft with unspoken want. It was a confession on paper, dangerous as fire in dry tinder. The next day dawned with a text. Lunch? Need to bounce ideas off you. I smiled, fingers trembling as I typed back. The fall was inevitable now, gravity of the heart. But as I dressed, a chill settled. Subverting the story meant risking everything. For him, though, worth it. Fall deepened in Seattle, leaves turning the parks into mosaics of crimson and gold. The air crisp with the promise of winter's bite. The daily grind became our unofficial office, Ryder's blueprints colonizing tables like territorial maps. Our lunches stretched into afternoons, conversations meandering from structural integrity to the fragility of trust. He'd talk about his sister, Mia, 17 and fierce, shipping up from Austin for Thanksgiving with stories of high school drama and dreams of Parsons. She's the reason I don't quit, he'd say, eyes distant. Can't let her see me fold. I'd nod, sharing Elias's scraps. Summers shelving books at Whispering Pines, the scent of aged paper and Mom's chamomile tea, Dad's endless dad jokes that masked his own quiet griefs. But woven in were my truths. Nights in Chicago wondering if love was a myth for men like me, the ache of half-formed connections that evaporated at dawn. Ryder listened, really listened, his hazel gaze steady, drawing me out like sunlight coaxes moss from stone. Yet the undercurrent pulled stronger, a riptide of touches that lingered. His hands steadying mine over a spilled sugar packet, knees knocking under cafe tables, a shared umbrella on a deluge-drenched walk home. Each contact sparked, igniting nerves I hadn't known existed in this body. Elias's memories amplified it. Flashes of stolen kisses in Tacoma dive bars, the thrill of a hand on his thigh under a movie theater seat, the crash of rejection when words turned to silence. I was falling, hard and heedless, into a man the plot had scripted for another. Lena entered the frame more insistently now, her texts lighting up Ryder's phone during our hangs. Drinks Friday? Digging into that waterfront redevelopment story. He'd show me, brow furrowed. She's persistent. Good at her job, too. Jealousy wasn't a green monster. It was a slow burn, charring confidence. In the novel, this was the build-up. Lena's pursuit chipping Ryder's walls, Elias fading as the platonic foil. But reality twisted it. Ryder deflected her invites with vague maybes. His free evenings claimed by sketch sessions with me. Was it the plot resisting, or something real budding? One crisp Tuesday, after a brutal morning rush, Ryder burst in soaked from a site visit, hair plastered, shirt clinging translucent. Christ, this city's out to drown me, he growled, shaking like a dog. I tossed him a towel from behind the counter, heart tripping at the water tracing rivulets down his neck. Here, wouldn't want Seattle's finest architect catching pneumonia. He dried off, grinning wolfish. Finest, huh? Flattery from the peanut gallery. Truth from the barista brigade. I brewed him a fresh pour, extra shot, sliding it over with a wink that felt bolder than intended. He lingered post-closing, as Marco locked up with a knowing grunt. We ended up at my loft. First time he'd crossed that threshold. Blueprints spread on the coffee table amid takeout tie. The space felt smaller with him in it, air humming. He pored over elevations, muttering about load-bearing whims, while I plaited pad CEW, steam curling like secrets. This one's for Mia's future, he said, circling a community center concept. Playgrounds woven into green roofs, spaces for kids like her to dream big. After everything, I want her to have solid ground. I sat beside him, fork twirling noodles. You're giving her that already. You're her North Star, Ryder. He looked up, fork paused, expression softening to something raw. And who's yours? The question landed like a skipped stone, rippling deep. Elias's star had been dim, a string of almosts, loves that flickered out. Mine back home equally sparse. Chasing it, I said, voice rough, hoping it doesn't burn out before I catch up. Our eyes held, the room shrinking to the space between us. His hand, grease smeared from pencil grips, brushed my knee under the table. Accidental? Intentional? Heat bloomed, and I didn't pull away. Neither did he. The moment stretched, taut as a guy wire, until his phone buzzed. Lena. Again. Gallery follow-up? Your insights on the piece were spot on. He sighed, thumb hovering. She's like a dog with a bone. Go, I urged, the word tasting like ash. She's good for you. Sparks that side project energy. Ryder's jaw tightened, thumb swiping decline. Not tonight. Rather be here, hashing this out with you. My pulse thundered. Why? Because with you it feels unforced, real. He set the phone face down, leaning closer, elbow on the table, face inches from mine. The scent of rain and spice enveloped me, his breath warm on my skin. Elias, I. The words died as Mia's ringtone pierced. FaceTime. Her face popping up pixelated and grinning. Tell me you've nailed that center design. I'm dying here. He answered, laughing, the tension snapping like brittle ice. I busied with dishes, heart a war drum, while they bantered about her latest art class debacle. By the time he hung, the moment had evaporated, blueprints refocused. But as he left, hugging me at the door, arms strong around my shoulders, chin brushing my hair, whispers of possibility lingered. Night, Elias. Thanks for everything. The door clicked shut, and I slid down it, head in hands. This was madness, courting catastrophe for a maybe. The plot's gears ground on. Next week, the betrayal beat, where Elias, spurned, outs Ryder's secrets to Lena in a drunken haze, fracturing their trio. I couldn't let it happen. Wednesday brought storm clouds, literal and figurative. At the cafe, Ryder was absent. A text explaining a client crisis in Bellevue. Lena appeared instead, poised at the counter in a trench coat, ordering a flat white with almond milk. Elias, right? Ryder's right-hand caffeine enabler. I forced a smile, steaming milk with precision. Guilty. He's out saving the skyline today. She leaned in, eyes sharp. He's something, isn't he? That quiet intensity, like he's holding back a flood. My grip tightened on the pitcher. Yeah, floods have a way of reshaping everything. Her laugh was light, probing. You two are thick as thieves. He talks about you nonstop, your eye for design. Jealous yet? The word stung, unbidden. Of what? His talent? Nah. Of stealing his time. She took the cup, foam heart mocking me. But seriously, you're good for him. Grounds him. I nodded, throat tight, watching her go. Grounds him like a side character should. But as the door swung, doubt festered. Was I anchoring him, or just delaying the inevitable? That night, alone with whiskey and regrets, I penned a letter, unsent, in Elias's journal. Ryder, if this is real, say it. If not, let me go before I drown. I tore it out, burned it in the sink, ashes swirling down the drain like failed spells. Thursday, Ryder returned, storm-weary but triumphant, blueprint in hand. Nailed it. Clients over the moon. He unfurled it, our heads bending close. Your tweaks from last week, gold. Pride swelled, mingled with ache, as we celebrated with rooftop beers at his Belltown condo. Views of the Sound glittering like shattered diamonds. He grew pensive. Lena cornered me yesterday. Wants to collaborate on a piece about urban renewal. My stomach nodded. Plot point. Their joint project, late nights forging intimacy. Sounds killer. You in? He shrugged, beer bottle dangling from fingers. Maybe, but it's not clicking like I thought. Why? The word escaped, hopeful traitor. His eyes met mine, shadowed by the city glow. Because the chemistry's off, like forcing a beam that won't load. Relief flooded, reckless. Then don't force it. Build what fits. Yeah. He set the bottle down, shifting closer on the lounger, our thighs pressing. The wind whispered off the water, carrying salt and secrets. What fits for you, Elias? You? I breathed, the admission slipping free, raw and unscripted. Time suspended. His hand rose, cupping my jaw, thumb tracing my lip, gentle questioning. I leaned in, heart a freight train, lips brushing his in a tentative press. Soft, then deepening, his mouth warm and yielding, tasting of hops and home. He pulled back first, eyes wide, breath ragged. Elias. I didn't. It's okay. I lied, world tilting. If it's too much. No. He surged forward, kissing me fierce, hands fisting my shirt, pulling me atop him. The city spun below, but up here, it was us. Tongues tangling, bodies aligning like perfect elevations. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. This, I've wanted, he murmured, voice wrecked. Since that first coffee spill I never saw. Laughter bubbled, mingled with tears, mine, from the miracle. But as we tangled further, clothes shedding like old skins, a shadow loomed. The plot's wrath, betrayal's blade waiting to fall. The kiss lingered like aftershocks, rippling through days that tasted of stolen sweetness and shadowed fears. Ryder's condo became our refuge, its sleek lines, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Sound's moody expanse, contrasting the tangle of limbs and whispered truths we wove into the nights. Mornings after, I'd wake to his arms slung heavy across my waist, breath stirring my hair, the steady thrum of his heart syncing with mine. Elias's body responded with a fervor I'd only dreamed of, every caress etching permanence into skin that wasn't wholly mine. You're addictive, Ryder murmured one dawn, lips trailing my collarbone as gray light filtered in. His fingers mapped freckles like constellations, voice husky from sleep. Like finding the load point after weeks of calculations. I arched into him, laughing soft against his temple. Careful, architect. Too much weight and we collapse. But collapse felt inevitable, not from us but the world outside. The plot chafed, its threads fraying under our revisions. Lena's texts persisted, undeterred. Missed you at the pitch meeting. Coffee soon? Ryder showed them to me now, no secrets, his thumb swiping delete with a grimace. She's relentless. But it's business, nothing more. I believed him, or wanted to, the way his eyes sought mine post-deletion. Reassurance in hazel depths. Yet doubt gnawed, a termite in the foundation. In the novel, this interlude was Elias's delusion. A bicurious detour before Ryder recommitted to Lena. The betrayal came swift. Elias, rejected. Leaking Ryder's family secrets to her for a scoop. Shattering trust and propelling the endgame romance. I pushed it down, burying fears in the rhythm we built. Weekends bled into hikes along Discovery Park. Salt air whipping our faces as we crested trails to beaches strewn with driftwood. He'd sketch impromptu. Waves crashing as abstract forms. My profile etched beside. While I gathered stones, skipping them across tide pools like skipped heartbeats. Tell me something true, he'd say, pulling me down onto a log, sand gritty under us. Truth. I used to think love was a construct. I confessed once, waves lapping like confessions. Plotted points on a graph, predictable. But your chaos theory, beautifully unpredictable. He kissed me then, slow and deep, salt on his lips. And you're the constant, my fixed point. Words like that anchored me, but Seattle's underbelly stirred. Marco cornered me at the cafe one fogged afternoon, arms crossed over his apron. You in Kane. It's written all over you, kid. Glow like a damn firefly. But watch the wind. It snuffs 'em quick. Wise words from the oracle of espresso. I deflected, but his warning lodged, sharp as shrapnel. Thanksgiving loomed, Mia's arrival a ticking clock. Ryder's nerves frayed. Texts about flight delays, menu panics, culminating in a pre-holiday dinner at his place. Just us to practice. I cooked. Elias's recipe for herb-crusted salmon, sides of roasted Brussels and wild rice. The kitchen alive with clatter and his hands on my hips, distracting nips at my neck. This is domestic as hell, he teased, setting the table with mismatched plates, candles flickering against the windows. You me, fish that doesn't taste like cardboard. Feels right. Over wine, bold cab from Walla Walla, we talked futures. His firm expanding, perhaps a branch in Portland. My vague dreams of design school, Elias's half-buried passion resurfacing. We could collaborate, he said, foot hooking mine under the table. Your eye, my drafts. Unstoppable. The vision bloomed, shared studio, late nights birthing buildings that breathed. But as plates cleared, his phone lit. Mia's plane grounded in Denver. Shit, he muttered, pacing. She's stuck overnight. Alone in airports. Hates it. Call her, I said, drawing him back to the couch. Talk her through. He did, voice softening into Big Brother mode, promising pie and park runs upon landing. Hanging up, he slumped against me, head on my shoulder. You're good at this. Making chaos manageable. I stroked his hair, chestnut waves soft under my fingers. Team effort. That night, lovemaking was tender, unhurried bodies mapping familiar territories, breaths sinking like tides. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced my ribs. Stay over tomorrow? Me'd love you. Thinks you're my mystery muse from stories. My gut twisted. Expose us to her. Risk the plot's pivot? But his eyes, earnest, won. Yeah, I'd like that. Mia arrived the next eve. A whirlwind of braids and paint-splattered jeans, lugging a duffel bursting with art supplies. She barreled into hugs, appraising me with sly eyes. So, you're the Elias. Bro's been mooning over your killer lattes for weeks. But I see the real draw. Ryder flushed, swatting her arm. Brat, be nice. Dinner was chaos. Turkey brine to perfection, stuffing spiked with sausage, laughter echoing off walls. Mia grilled me on Seattle lore, sketching caricatures on napkins. Ryder as a brooding tower, me as a caffeinated sprite. "You two sync," she declared, popping cranberry. "Like complementary colors. Don't screw it up, Ree." His glance my way, loaded with promise, eased the knot in my chest. Post-feast, we sprawled by the fire, gas logs flickering blue, trading stories. Mia's tales of Austin mischief, my fabricated Elias anecdotes laced with Alex's wit. Ryder watched, quiet, hand finding mine behind cushions, fingers lacing unseen. Later, as Mia crashed in the guest room, he pulled me to his bedroom, door clicking soft. "She's right," he whispered, backing me to the bed. "We sync." Clothes shed in whispers, urgency tempered by holiday hush. His mouth on mine, hands reverent worship, not conquest. "Love this." He breathed against my throat. "Love you." The words halted me, breath caught. "Ryder." Too soon. Vulnerability cracked his voice, hazel eyes searching. "No." I kissed him fierce, pouring truth. "Not too soon. Perfect." We moved together, synchronized. The world narrowing to gasps and grips. Release crashing like waves on unseen shores. Curled after, his heartbeat my lullaby, I dared believe. This was our story now. But dawn brought fracture. Mia, jet-lag bright, banged pots in the kitchen. "Elias, help with breakfast?" Ree snores like a chainsaw, needs saving. Laughter pulled us up, domestic haze resuming. Yet mid-omelet flip, Ryder's phone rang. Lena, voice tinny on speaker. "Ryder, emergency. That waterfront story? Sources drying up. Meet now? My office." He hesitated, spatula hovering. "Today? It's Thanksgiving. Deadline waits for no bird." Her tone brooked no argument. "Go," Mia urged, shooing. "Hero mode." He dressed reluctant, kissing me quick at the door, chaste, for her eyes. "Back soon. Save me pie." Hours stretched, Mia and I bonding over sketches, her probing gentle. Heard the whispers. "You make him happy, real happy. Haven't seen that since Mom." Warmth bloomed, but unease simmered. By evening, Ryder returned, face thunderous, slamming blueprints on the counter. "She's ruthless," twisted my quotes, made the family sound like villains. Pulled the collab. Mia's eyes widened. I reached for him. "What happened?" Confronted her. She laughed. Said it's narrative. Leaked Dad's old emails to seal the deal. His fists clenched, knuckles white. Felt like betrayal all over again. The word echoed. Plot's echo. In the novel, this was Elias's cue, wounded pride pushing him to counter Lena with Ryder's vulnerabilities. But I held steady. "She's wrong. You're more than her story." He deflated into my arms. Mia hugging from behind. "Family huddle," she quipped, but tears wet my shirt. That night, pie cooling forgotten, we mended with movies, old rom-coms, laughter forced but healing. Ryder's hand stayed in mine, anchor through storm. Yet whispers persisted. Lena's next move, the plot's inexorable push. As snow dusted the sound, I wondered, could we outrun the script? Or was betrayal our scripted end? Winter clamped down on Seattle like a vice, snow dusting evergreens into lace, the sound freezing into sheets of fractured silver under harbor lights. Holiday glow faded, replaced by the grind. Cafe rushes peaking with post-feast caffeine cravings. Ryder's firm buried in deadlines for a Belltown high-rise that loomed like ambition incarnate. Our stolen moments sustained, pockets of heat in the cold. Hurried kisses in his truck after site visits, fingers laced under cafe counters. Nights where bodies spoke what words faltered. But the idol cracked under pressure. Lena didn't vanish. She circled, vulture sharp, her byline in the stranger twisting Ryder's project into a gentrification Goliath. Calls escalated. Apologies laced with barbs. Invites to clear the air over drinks. Ryder rebuffed, but each ping eroded him, shadows deepening under his eyes. "You're letting her rent space in your head?" I said one night, Snow flurrying outside his condo as we huddled under blankets. Takeout congealing on the coffee table. His sketchpad lay abandoned, lines jagged where once they'd flowed. He rubbed temples, hazel eyes stormy. It's not just her. The firm's bleeding clients. Dad's ghost again. What if I can't outbuild it? I shifted, straddling his lap, hands framing his face. Stubble rough, skin chilled. You already have. Look at us, this. I kissed him slow, pouring certainty into the press, tongues tracing assurances. He responded hungry, hands gripping hips, pulling me closer till barriers blurred. Need you, he growled, flipping us to the rug, fire crackling witness as clothes scattered. Urgency overtook. Thrusts deep, gasps mingling with wind's howl. Release a temporary exorcism. After spent and tangled, he traced my spine. Marry me. The words jolted, breath hitching. Ryder. Not now. Someday. When the dust settles. His smile crooked, vulnerable. Just. Promise you'll stick. Always? I whispered, heart swelling even as plot alarms blared. Marriage? Off book entirely. January thawed the snow but not the chill. Mia returned south, her goodbye hug fierce. Keep him whole, Elias. You're his keystone. Her flight out, Ryder withdrew, swallowed by all-nighters at the firm. Texts dwindled, swamped. Miss you. Leaving me adrift in the loft, Elias's journals filling with fevered entries. He's mine, but the story wants him back. What if I lose him to the page? Marco's warnings sharpened. Lovers' quarrels incoming, he predicted, sliding me a shift beer. Kane's got that haunted look. Trouble brewing. Trouble brewed indeed. One sleety afternoon, Ryder stumbled into the cafe, gaunt and wired, coat dusted white. Elias, need to talk. My stomach plummeted. Now? Alibi room. Please. The bar was dim, half empty, jukebox crooning Springsteen laments. He ordered whiskey double, downing it like antidote. Lena ambushed me, met with investors, spun the article as insightful critique. They pulled funding unless I distance from her sources. Meaning me? The word choked. No, wait. He gripped my hand, calluses grounding. She implied you're unstable, feeding me bad intel. Said she has proof, texts, sketches. Twisted. Rage flared, hot. She's lying. To sabotage us. His eyes shuddered. I know, but the firm's on a knife edge. If I push back, it tanks everything. And if you don't? I leaned in, voice low. You let her rewrite you. He drained the glass, ordering another. It's temporary. Play along, secure the deal, then cut ties. The plan reeked of plot. Acquiescence to the heroine's machinations, Elias sidelined as collateral. Temporary how? Ghost me. No discretion. His hand squeezed, pleading. Meet in shadows till it's clear. Betrayal's first taste, bitter, metallic. Shadows, like I'm the dirty secret. Elias, hurt flashed raw. It's survival. For us. I pulled away, chair scraping. Survival shouldn't dim us. Storming out, sleet-stinging face. I wandered Fremont's lit streets, neon blurring through tears. The loft echoed empty, bed cold without him. Whiskey burned, but not enough. Days blurred into avoidance. Polite nods at the cafe, texts curt. Working late. Lena's victory lap splashed online. Her piece lauded. Ryder's high-rise greenlit with concessions. Whispers reached me. Colleagues eyeing him sidelong. Investors praising her guts. 2 weeks in, fracture deepened. A mutual friend, Theo, a wiry photographer from the gallery scene, texted. Saw Kane with Lena at that fundraiser. Cozy. You okay? The image seared. Ryder in tux, her hand on his arm. Flashes popping. I confronted via voice note. Voice cracking. True? Or her spin? His reply came swift. Networking. Nothing more. Trust me. Trust frayed. Threadbare. Elias's memories surged. Past loves ghosting post-exposure. It's complicated code for goodbye. My own scars overlapped. Exes vanishing when families loomed. Paranoia bloomed. Unchecked. Climax crashed mid-February, Valentine's shadow looming. Ryder invited me to the firm's Valentine Gala, neutral ground, he claimed. Wear the gray suit. It'll kill. Hope flickered, fragile. I arrived fashionably late, ballroom aglow with chandeliers, Seattle elite swirling in silk and egos. Ryder spotted me across the floor, eyes lighting, then dimming as Lena materialized, gown emerald, arm looped possessive in his. Elias, she purred, lips glossed lethal. Joining the fray? He extricated, awkward. Dance with me. We swayed to a slow jazz riff, his hand warm at my waist, breath on my neck. Missed this, he murmured. Missed you. Then end the charade. I pulled back, eyes locking. Or are shadows permanent? Pain etched his face. It's ending. Deal signed next week. Then, Lena interrupted, glass in hand, wine sloshing. Ryder, darling, the senator. Now. He hesitated, gaze pleading. 1 second. She smirked at me, triumphant. He's mine tonight. Business, handsome. The word handsome, mocked, side character's curse. As Ryder followed, her hand trailing his back, something snapped. I fled to the balcony, city lights mocking below, heart a freefall. Theo found me, cigarette offered. Rough, but cane solid, just cornered. Solid men bend, I muttered, inhaling deep. Back inside, impulse ruled. Spotting Lena alone at the bar, I approached, whiskey fueling folly. Enjoying the conquest? She arched a brow. Jealousy doesn't suit you, Elias. Ryder's trajectory needs elevation, not anchors. Anchors hold. I shot back. You'd know if you built instead of burned. Her laugh chilled. Cute. But ask him about the temporary clause he signed. Non-compete on distractions. Distractions. Me. Fury blinded. I grabbed a passing waiter's tray. Accidentally, appending red over her gown. Gasps rippled. She shrieked, dabbing futile. Ryder materialized, horror-struck. Elias, what the hell? Truth serum. I snarled. Plots betrayal scripted through me. She's poison. Leaking your secrets. Twisting everything. His face paled. You did this? Here. She told me the clause. You're trading me for the deal. Lena, sopping, interjected. He overreacted. Classic. But Ryder's eyes hardened, betrayal mirroring mine. I trusted you. The words gutted, deeper than any knife. Security escorted me out, murmurs trailing. Drama queen. In the cab home, sobs racked. Elias's, Alex's, fused in grief. Texts bombarded. Call me. Explain. Then silence. Dawn broke, brutal, hangover pounding. The loft suffocated. I packed a bag, fleeing to Whispering Pines in Tacoma. Parents' bookstore, a sanctuary of dust and solace. Mom hugged wordless. Dad brewing tea with awkward pats. Storms passed sun. But the storm raged internal. Days blurred. Shelving tomes on lost loves. Walks along the waterfront where ferries chugged indifferent. Ryder's silence deafened. Plot triumphant. A week in, Mia called, voice thick. What happened? He's a ghost. Cancelled our check-in, staring at walls. Tell him. I'm sorry. But pride choked more. Mid-March, reconciliations whisper. A package at the bookstore. Blueprints rolled tight. Inside, his note, you were right. Shadows broke us. But the design's ours, community center, your tweaks. Build with me? Our tears blurred ink. The sketches breathed. Playgrounds curved like embraces. Lights spilling warm. A new chapter? I drove back, heart hammering, snowmelt rivers rushing parallels. His condo door opened to him, disheveled, hopeful. Elias! Arms collided, kisses desperate, apologies tumbling. I pushed too hard, he gasped. The clause was bluff, she forged it. Fired her firm, lost the high-rise, but gained clarity. And me, always you. We tumbled inside, reclaiming lost ground, bodies fervent, souls mending. Spring hinted, cherry blossoms budding. We rebuilt, joint pitches winning bids, Nights planning futures unbound. The plot? Faded fiction. Our story, real, resilient, bloomed. Yet echoes lingered. Transmigration's tether. My borrowed life. As we walked Fremont's greening paths, hand in hand, I wondered, end near or eternal. Spring unfurled in Seattle like a hesitant promise, cherry petals carpeting sidewalks in pink confetti, the sound shimmering under sunnier skies. Ryder and I emerged from winter's wreckage stronger, our bond reforged in the fire of fracture. Late nights poring over blueprints in his sunlit studio, mornings tangled in sheets that smelled of him. Cedar and fresh ink. The community center project became our manifesto, a haven in South Park. Modular spaces for artists and families, green walls climbing like hope, your tweaks. My tweaks, Elias's I fused with Alex's intuition, breathing life into concrete. You're a natural, Ryder said one afternoon, smudged with graphite, rolling up elevations on the drafting table. His office, now ours, a corner suite in a revamped warehouse, overlooked the Duwamish, ships gliding like memories. Investors ate it up. Groundbreaking next month. Pride swelled, untainted. We ate it up. Team Hawthorne Kane. He grinned, pulling me across the table for a kiss. Quick, but deepening, hands wandering till blueprints crinkled under us. Damn the clock, he murmured, locking the door. Lovemaking there was reckless. Desk edges bruising hips, gasps echoing off exposed beams. Release a seal on our pact. Life wove fuller. Dinners at Whispering Pines. Mom quizzing Ryder on arches while Dad slipped him dog-eared sci-fi. Mia's summer visit, crashing our domestic bliss with paint fights and bad karaoke. Marco even softened, grumbling approval over shift beers. About time you two scripted a happy act. But undercurrents stirred, Transmigration's quiet erosion. Elias's memories stabilized, but mine frayed at edges. Chicago flashes, a life dissolving like ink in rain. Nightmares crept. Waking sweat-soaked, convinced I'd blink back to cubicle hell. Ryder a dream. Stay? I'd whisper, clutching him, his arms a bulwark. He sensed, never pressing. But one eve, over rooftop wine as fairies horned distant, he broached. You've been distant lately, like you're carrying double weight. Guilt twisted. Just ghosts. Old ones. Share him. His hand covered mine, steady. We're in this build. Words tumbled then. Half-truths. A past life metaphor for buried pains. The fear of vanishing mid-sentence. He listened, thumb stroking knuckles. Whatever the weight will reinforce. You're not going anywhere. His certainty anchored, but doubt whispered. The plot's final twist, erasure for defying script. May brought Mia's graduation gift. A weekend in Austin, Ryder's roots. The flight south thawed old freezes. His childhood home, a modest rancher in the hill country, hummed with barbecue smoke and cicada song. His mother, released from care, fragile but fierce, gripped my hand. He lights for you, Elias. Don't let go. Nights on the porch swing, stars thick as secrets. Ryder opened floodgates. Dad's charm masking greed, the scandal's shrapnel embedding deep. Thought I'd bury it in bricks. But you make me want to unearth. I held him as tears came, rare and rending. You're unearthing gold. Return north sealed vows unspoken. June solstice, we drove to the Olympics, pitching tents by Solduk hot springs. Steam rose ethereal, waters bubbling mineral rich. Naked under stars, we soaked, bodies buoyant. Marry me, he repeated, ringless but ringed in intent. A smooth river stone pressed into my palm. Not shadows, full light. Yes, I breathed, kissing him amid vapors, water lapping intimacies. That night, firelit and fervent, we claimed eternity. Slow explorations, whispers of forever. Yet July's heat wave cracked the facade. Migraine struck, visions blurring. Novel pages overlaying reality, Ryder's face morphing to print. One dawn, convulsing in the loft. Alone, him at sight. I blacked out, waking to paramedics, Elias's parents at bedside. Stress, Doc said, but I knew, tether snapping. Ryder arrived wild-eyed, clutching my hand. Don't you dare leave. Hospital haze lifted slow. Discharge brought home to his condo, bed rest enforced. Nights he read aloud. Queer lit from mom's stock, voices of outcasts finding home. This is us, he'd say, lips to my brow. Resilient. August whispered endings. A storm, fierce, unseasonal. Rattled windows one midnight. Lightning forked, thunder booming like judgment. Ryder slept beside, but I rose, drawn to the balcony. Rain lashed, city veiled. Flash. The novel's epilogue. Ryder wed to Lena, Elias a footnote, tragic fade. But we'd rewritten, love triumphant. Thunder cracked. World vortexed. Ink swirling. No! I gasped, gripping rail. Ryder stirred inside, calling. Vortex tightened. Chicago's cubicle loomed, but Seattle held. His hand on my back, pulling me in. Elias? Talk. Vision cleared. Rain eased. Just scared. Of what? He wrapped me in a towel, warm. Losing this. You. Never. Kiss soft. Grounding. Plot twist. We're the leads. Laughter broke. Tension shattering. Dawn gilded us. Storm passed. September's equinox brought clarity. At the center's first pour, concrete flowing like promise, I felt the shift. Tether loosening, not severing. Alex's essence merged. No return. Home here, in Elias's skin, Ryder's arms. Fall circled back. Leaves turning. Our first anniversary marked by a ring, simple platinum, engraved fixed point. Vows exchanged on a ferry deck. Sound witness, Mia officiating with tears. Years folded. Center thriving, hub for queer youth arts. Our firm expanding, designs echoing empathy. Children came, Mia's via surrogacy, then our own through fostering, a boy with Ryder's eyes, fierce and kind. Reflections in mirrors showed Elias fully. Gray threading temples, lines of joy etching eyes. No ghosts, only now. One eve, years on, by the fire with wine, Ryder mused, ever feel like this was scripted? Too perfect. I smiled, head on his shoulder. If it was, we aced the rewrite. He kissed my temple. Best side character ever. Laughter mingled with crackle. Life's page turning gentle. In the end, transmigration taught. Stories bend to hearts bold enough. Ours, love's architecture, stood enduring, against all winds.